throw the bathroom on. Or yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good idea. I was worried about them being able to get back to the work, because this is my own policy.
Robert.
Oh, there is one over there. Okay, I just see it.
Yes.
Yeah, so if we do one here.
Great. No, he said he went.
All right, everyone, I think we're going to continue with our meeting, public session. I'm going to ask everybody to please, if you're not wearing masks, to do so now. Thank you. With that being said, I'd like to ask everyone to please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome to everybody who's here and to the community that's watching. Sorry that we are late tonight. Got a lot of business to take care of. With that being said, I'd like to invite Miss Priscilla De Jesus, who's our student liaison, for tonight. Please.
Can I take this down?
Yes, if you're speaking, yes.
Okay. Hello, my name is Priscilla De Jesus, and I am a senior in the Ross Center. As the president of the Student Council, I am here today on behalf of Mauricio Diaz and the student body to present and support our monthly report to the Superintendent and Board of Education. I'd like to start by saying that students are happy to be back. The transition has not been easy, but school is starting to feel like it used to. As many of you know, COVID severely impacted our schooling and many of the functions within the school. Despite earlier issues, the high school administration has proven its determination to listen to students and families, improving several programs such as the Red Dot Lunch program to run more efficiently and safely. The school has also adjusted bathroom monitoring to run more efficiently while abiding by social distancing regulations. The hallways have also adjusted to the implementation of the one-way guidelines, studying traffic. An adjustment we'd like to see is the application of the 9-period day to the high school as it was applied to the freshman center. A 9-period day would allow students on either end of the spectrum to excel. Students who haven't had a lunch period since 8th grade due to having too many AP or honors courses will benefit as they finally have space for one, while benefiting those who didn't do well during the pandemic and are behind in their core classes because remote learning took a toll on students' grades. Though seniors like myself wouldn't benefit from this schedule, we would like students to have the option in the future. Another adjustment we'd like to see pertains to school lunches inside of the cafeteria. Several students have expressed that they often don't get a drink with their lunch because they have to pay for a juice or water and do not drink dairy. Red Dot lunches come with a juice box, and the student body would like to know if students can have the option between a milk carton, juice, or water in the cafeteria. Earlier this year, several members of the student body expressed their opinions regarding the dress code. The school listened to what we had to say and promised to make adjustments to the dress code. Unfortunately, an updated dress code has not been released or announced, and the student body would like to know when adjustments will be announced and adopted. The need for accessible counseling has made itself more evident than ever. The American School Counselor Association suggests that the ideal caseload for a school counselor is at most 250 students. However, in Brentwood, school counselors have a caseload nearing 400. Surrounding school districts have much smaller caseloads per counselor. And while Brentwood is significantly larger, one zip code should not determine their access to counseling. It is too easy to fall through the cracks in a school of our magnitude, and students would like to know if the district plans on hiring more counselors, benefiting both students and counselors. As someone who has partaken in Brentwood's music program, other students and I are happy to perform once again, with in-person concerts being brought back. Several events are being reintroduced, aiding in our return to normalcy, like the tree lighting ceremony this past Friday. Despite the reintroduction of these events, the student body understands COVID is still a huge issue and that the student and staff health and safety is most important. I want to thank on behalf of the student body our principal, Mr. Callan, who has made a number of announcements, including one at this past Friday's tree lighting ceremony honoring Joelle's memory. His recognition has really helped to heal a lot of the broken hearts in our community. I was very happy to hear that Joelle will be recognized at our graduation and that his parents will receive his cap and gown along with his diploma, seeing that he would have graduated this upcoming spring. Lastly, I'd like to thank Mr. Callan, the Board of Education, and Mr. Lochner for extending this opportunity to the student body. These past 2 years have been difficult to say the very least, and it is more important now than ever for everyone to look out for one another with our community's best interests in mind. Thank you for allowing me to present to you tonight. Have a good night and happy holidays.
Thank you so much. It's wonderful to have a student back here at these meetings. It's something that, just kind of withered away, and I'm just so happy to hear from you. And I hope to, on behalf of the entire board, thank you. And I hope to see you here more often. I know that you're filling in for Mr. Diaz, but wonderful presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Encore file.
So we're going to go right to questions on agenda items. I don't see any. With that being said, I'd like to go to the consent agenda. Be it resolved that the following items be approved. B1A through B1M. Could I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Motion by trustee Safiri. Could I have a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Moore. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? So moved. Be it resolved that the following items be approved. B2A through B2Q. Could I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Motion by trustee Burgos. Could I have a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Safiri. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? So moved. Be it resolved that the following items be approved. C1A and C1B. Could I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Motion by trustee Gonzalez Prescott. Could I have a second?
Second. Oh, sorry. Siri.
Second.
Second by trustee Safiri. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? So moved. We are now going to the D items. D1A, there's going to be an amendment, and the amendment will be, so actually, let me just read it as the resolution. So I need a motion to amend as follows. We will be amending item number 37 so that the name reads Andrea Di Maria. It would be athletic coach for the girls' basketball at West Middle School. And the step or the rate would be D1-1. And the second amendment would be item number 38. The name remains the same, Nicholas Rezic. He would be the girls' basketball coach at East Middle School with the step or the pay at D1-5. Could I have a motion to amend as mentioned?
Motion.
Motion by trustee Safiri. Could I have a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Gonzalez Prescott. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? So moved. So now D1A, appointments, resignations, and leaves of certificated personnel as proposed on our agenda. Could I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Motion by trustee Moore. Could I have a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Safiri. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? So moved. D1B, appointments, resignations, and leaves of non-certificated personnel as proposed on our agenda. Could I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Motion by trustee Burgos. Could I have a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Safiri. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? So moved. D1C, 4-year probationary period, amended, assistant coordinator to the director of special services. Could I have a motion, please?
Motion.
As proposed on our agenda. Could I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by trustee Simone Holder Daniel. Could I have a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Moore. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? So moved. D1D, the secret determination as proposed on our agenda. Could I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Motion by trustee Gonzalez Prescott. Could I have a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Burgos. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? So moved. D1E, creation of school communication aid position as proposed on our agenda. Could I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Motion by trustee Safiri. Could I have a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Gonzalez Prescott. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? So moved. E1A, student enrollment figures as presented on our agenda. F17 is miscellaneous items for information only. G1A, old and new business. If I can take a moment at this point, one of the things that we are doing, and I'm proud to say that we kind of got this in just before it was mandated. We are putting up the agenda. I know that it was a request from the community to get the agenda out earlier. So we're committed, and we've actually done this 2 business meetings in a row, putting the agendas out the day before. I think that we're trying to hit 1 p.m. on Wednesday. Ms. Lotion, thank you for your cooperation and the cooperation of your staff in getting this done. There's a lot of work that goes into getting these agendas out. So it's our commitment, and we will continue to get these agendas out the day before. We're hoping to get them out by 1 o'clock on Wednesday. The other thing that I just wanted to let the community know is that on the Facebook page, when these notices are out in terms of our business meetings, there's going to be a link that was created by our the production person, Ivania, that can lead you directly to these agendas. So you don't have to leave the Facebook page, jump on our district website page in order to find our agenda. We've tried to even make that easier for the community to find these agendas. So for that, I am incredibly thankful to you and your staff for putting that together. Mr. Lochner, I wanted to take this moment, and I think that I had mentioned it in email to you. There was concern about an incident over at the Freshman Center, and I think that part of the concern was, what are the safety protocols? Can you go over what a building should or shouldn't be doing in the mornings in terms of doors being locked, in terms of access to buildings? I know that there was a serious incident. I don't know if you want to just go into it kind of like in general terms, just to let the community know what was done and really what the protocols should be. If you could expand on that.
Yeah, sure.
You can take off your mask, Mr. Lochner.
And I also have to put the mic on. So, yeah, over at the Freshman Center last week, there was an incident. Actually, it's been, I'll be obviously completely transparent. There has been an intruder that has tried to make his way into the Freshman Center several times prior to last week. We are aware of the young man. The security has actually done an exceptional job in stopping him a number of times. We've communicated with the police. He has, been arrested a few times. But then there was an incident last week where we have really an annex. It's with the technology wing. There are 2 classrooms and a computer lab over there in that annex building. And what happened was, unfortunately, one of the doors was left open. By whom, actually that's irrelevant, but it was left open. It is open for 5 minutes every period, every change of period, so the students can come and go without going through a locked door. And then it's locked immediately after that. So, he did make his way in, unfortunately. It was a pretty frightening situation. I will tell you he's, I don't want to say this, I don't want to, make it a trivial situation. I don't think he's a danger. Unfortunately, he was very scary that day. Scared a number of, students, unfortunately. But since then, we've put in, and again, we called the police. He has been since arrested. He did actually try to make his way onto the campus again. So we have beefed up security over at the Freshman Center. We're actually, we have a security guard posted over by the exit door to the Freshman Center. We're putting in an ID swipe at the Freshman Center. We do have cameras on the exterior of the building. However, we're going to put in an additional exterior camera. So we're putting in several protocols. But generally speaking, in every single building, the way it works is that really any exit door has to be locked throughout the day. And teachers and staff, so many of them actually go out side doors, back doors. It's absolutely okay to do that during the day, but they are required to make sure it locks behind them. They can't, and they've been reminded they can't prop open a door, even for even for a few minutes. Sometimes you think it's nothing, you want to run to your car, and rather than take out your key, you might want to just prop the door open for 5 minutes. Even that's unacceptable. So again, those safety protocols will be reinforced, have been reinforced, and I do want to say that though in all of the buildings, you can only, students can only enter and enter from the front door. We obviously, at the high school, for example, we have a thing called scholarship. We instituted that a number of years ago with the help of the board. That's an identification system where the students actually swipe in every single day when they come into the building, and it comes up on the computer screen to let them know, the security guard or monitor who is there, that this in fact is one of our students. So and it goes through very, very quickly, and they watch the screen to make sure that those are in fact our students. Another safety measure at the Freshman Center is we are bringing in scholarship to the Freshman Center. We hope to purchase that very soon. Again, that's that same system I was just explaining that we have at the high school.
Yeah, and thank you, Ms. Loescher. Again, let me emphasize that these protocols were in place, and sometimes human error jumps in, sometimes bad judgment jumps in, and the reason why I wanted to bring this up is because no matter what we have in place, we do count on safety being, an issue for everyone. Parents who are coming into our buildings, if they see something that, may not, seem right or may be of concern, I urge you to go to the building principal. Go to the building principal, let them know what it is that you are concerned about. Mr. Loescher has laid out what the protocols are. Mr. Loescher, when are the front doors locked in buildings? I know it's hard to, but is there a protocol for when the front doors are locked?
Well, they're actually, let's take the middle schools, for example. I mean, they're actually locked all times. Then they're open just when students are coming in. They're opened either by a security guard, a monitor, or a teacher will stand there and let the students in the morning, and then it locks behind them. The same thing is true at the middle schools. It's locked. The only, at the high school, there are doors that are open in the Ross and the Sonley, and they are unlocked, because their entering is actually slightly different. They're not all entering at the same time. In the elementary schools and the middle schools, they all get off the buses at the same time, or if they're walkers, they're held until a certain time, and then everybody kind of flows into the building at the same time. So their doors are always locked. The high school, the entrance actually can take about 35, 40 minutes. Kids get there early, might be before 7 o'clock. So there are some doors, again, in the Ross and the Sonley Center that are unlocked at that time. And then after all of the kids enter, which is probably around 7:30, 7:35, the doors are locked. And then after that, any student arriving late would have to buzz in.
What about the Freshman Center? Are those doors, front doors, supposed to be locked after the kids get in?
Same thing. Those are locked after the kids enter the building.
Okay. So that is, and the last question that I asked was a question that was asked of me, and that's why I'm bringing it forth, and I just want this information to be out there, So there are protocols in place, but we need for everyone to help with, making sure that our kids are safe. If you see something, say something. I know that Mr. Loescher Trustee Gonzalez, Prescott, and I have been sharing this kind of, it's almost, I don't know if it's going to be a poster, but it's certainly going to be a post, in terms of pushing this information, pushing this message out. Thank you, Ms. Gonzalez Prescott, for the work that you did on that. So this is what we are going to be pushing forward, this idea that we are all, in this together, parents, staff, administrators, the Board of Education, because we can't just allow for all of this responsibility to lay on one person. We've got great principals, don't get me wrong, but there are handling so many different things at any given point that something that, that a parent might see, a principal might not, because it's just not where he is placing his attention, he or she. So this is the kind of message that I'm putting out there to please, you see something, say something, but say it to the building principal, say it to that administrator that can do something about it right there on the spot. And then if that concern is not resolved to your satisfaction, please remind them about what the concern was. Then after that, if you feel like you still haven't gotten satisfaction, please reach out to Mr. Lochner, and I'm sure that he will handle it, appropriately and follow up as he can. Safety of your children, safety of the children in this community and the district is paramount to each and every one of us. And we need your help as much as, the efforts that we make for ourselves.
Feliciano, I'm sorry. When you finish, I just have two questions.
Go ahead, absolutely.
For Mr. Lochner.
Good.
Okay. So one question, for the freshman center, you may have said this, the scholar chip that's being put in, will that be used during the day as the students go in between buildings, or only from the front exit?
No, I don't know. I don't want to say no, I shouldn't say no to begin with, but that might slow things down, because it's 5 minutes, they have to get into the classroom. What we are doing is, like I said, we're stationing a security guard there, and then we're putting in a swipe, we're putting in a camera, we're making sure, obviously, that those doors are locked at all times. I don't think that will happen again, I don't want to I never want to guarantee something, but we've really gone out of our way to make sure that doesn't happen again.
So my second question is regarding the high school, the doors that are unlocked before 7, are they monitored at all? Like
Yeah,
by
oh yeah, the
security or
security's up front and monitors are there as well.
by every unlocked door?
But,
Not the
right.
front door, but you said there's different doors.
No, it's only in the Ross and the Sondling lobby.
Okay. I
Just
thought
a
it was
couple of doors
one of the
there
other
are
doors.
left open for kids to enter.
Okay,
Yeah, and there's a
That's all.
security guard and a monitor up there.
right. Thank you.
I did want to say, along the same lines here, you probably received a letter from me via Parent Square or Facebook. We actually posted that as well. So there has been, there's been a TikTok video, evidently, I haven't seen it, but there's been something that's posted that actually has gone across the nation. And what it said was something about a student shooting up a school. And what happened is it's being resent by, or shared by students locally. And what that's doing is, obviously, people are looking at who's sharing it, and they're thinking it actually has something to do with their school district. It did happen this morning. There was a Brentwood student that actually did send it out or retweeted it, or whatever it's called when you resend a TikTok. And then a Bayshore student picked up on that. Mr. McRae, the head of security, was notified right away. We called police. That student was actually not in school. He was visited by police along with Mr. McRae. That was obviously proven unfounded. And there's been, since then, it's been across the country. Homeland Security is investigating this as well. But in my letter that I sent out today, I do remind parents and guardians to really go over with their children the dangers of posting something that may indicate violence or retweeting something like that. Because obviously it is extremely frightening for parents and students who are reading this. It also, perpetuates something that we, obviously is violent, and it's a scary thing, and we don't want people to think that their school is going to be unsafe. And that's something, that's why I sent out that letter. I felt strongly about letting the parents know we are aware of it, we are doing something about it. We've spoken to the police, we've spoken to Homeland Security. There's no indication that there's Brentwood schools, or any schools on Long Island for that matter, are in any danger tomorrow. The date was specific on this video. It did say December 17th. And unfortunately, that does happen several times throughout the year. It's something really to have a conversation with your kids. What are you looking at on these social media platforms? And, what are you sending out, or what are you receiving?
Yeah, no, thank you. The personal responsibility component is
Yeah.
incredibly important, and I think that's why I just wanted to bring this topic of conversation forward. You did bring up this idea that, you wanted to let parents know. I think that part of some of the past frustration, Ms. Lochner, has been that sometimes parents haven't felt like they've gotten the information in a timely fashion. And that has been brought forth to the board on different occasions. I know that we've gotten emails as a group from different community members. And I'm not trying to make excuses for administrators, but sometimes there are things that happen, in buildings that would cause a delay in notifying the parents. Ms. Lochner, if we can just have a, commitment, back to this district from Central and from administrators, I think that, getting the information out, especially when we're talking about, an intruder, back to the families, actually to the parents.
Right.
In a timely fashion, if we can make sure that that is a priority. I think that goes a long way in terms of, demonstrating to the community that listen, we didn't miss anything, that we were there, and these are the steps that are being, put in place in order to get that. So, I'm not trying to blame anybody. I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus. All I'm just saying is that sometimes, that's all the community needs.
Sure, and I understand that as a parent, I really do. And that we really, I think generally speaking, I can pretty confidently say that we have notified the community as quickly as possible. If we're, alluding to the freshman center, that was a couple of days, and I do apologize for that. Generally speaking, however, we do try to tell the community as soon as possible. Sometimes when you're right in the midst of things, let's say you're an administrator in a building and there is some type of dangerous situation, your priority obviously is to make sure that the kids and staff members are safe and that the situation is taken care of completely. And that may take a few hours.
Sure.
And sometimes parents get frustrated because something might happen in the morning. Now kids have cell phones and they're alerted immediately, a mom and dad, to some type of situation. There might be police at the school. They might be interpreting the police as a dangerous situation, so they make a phone call home. But I want you to know that the first priority of an administrator is to ensure that that situation, whatever's occurring, is handled, everybody's safe, is taken care of. If somebody happens to be hurt, they're going to obviously tend to that person. So there's lots of things. And then if God forbid, some kids are involved in something that their parents need to be contacted, they want to contact those parents. Sometimes those parents will be coming up to the school and those conversations will be taking place. All of this is going to occur prior to sending out a message to the school community. So that's why there may be a delay sometimes, by a few hours. But we do try to, if there's anything we feel the school community should know, we try to get that information out. But we're not perfect, but I'll, recommit, to making sure that happens.
Absolutely, absolutely. And if I could just end this, everything that happens in this school district is a partnership. It's a partnership between the parents, teachers, administrators, and students. And everybody has a role to play. None more important than the next, really, as far as I'm concerned. So administrators, teachers, parents, students, you know, play that role. Play that role. It's not, you know, it's not intended to be antagonistic in any way. I think that if you approached any of the administrators with the concerns that you might have as a parent, that it's going to be handled. It's absolutely going to be addressed. And like I said, and if it's not, and if it continues to be of concern, there's no doubt that Mr. Lotioner's communication with you and the feedback that I've seen him have with parents will take care of the problem or the concern that you might have. Anything else from any board members?
No, so, can I take this off?
Sure, absolutely.
I have a really big concern. This has been on my mind since the students came back to school. This pandemic has turned education upside down. And I must say our A-team cabinet and Mr. Lotion have done a phenomenal job in working with, you know, the staff, trying to make everything, well, it's not normal, but try to get to the best normal we can get. But my concern is about those parents and those students that are overwhelmed. What are we doing for them? And that's what the problem is, because you have some students that are coping very well. You have some students that are internalizing their frustration. And you also have students that are acting out inappropriately. Now, I know we had some programs pre-pandemic. We had the circles, I call it the circles. We had restorative justice, and we also had the alternative school. So I know the pandemic kind of interrupted all of that. But what programs do we have for those parents that really need the help? Because I've talked to teachers, I talked to some of my retired teachers in the city, and sometimes they say parents are overwhelmed. Their son has locked themselves in the room, they're on computers, and they don't know what to do. So is there a way that we, with some of the money that we've gotten from the federal government, that we could have something to help those parents?
Yeah, there was a lot there, Paula, to unpack, and I'll do the best I can. There's actually quite a few things that we do have going on to address some of those issues. But I do want you to know, too, those are concerns that we have as well. As a matter of fact, talking with the cabinet members today, about several of the cabinet members today, about some of these concerns that we have. I will tell you that, you know, obviously, you know, as a board that we anticipated having some difficulties, that kids would be having some difficulties, which is why we added quite a few social workers this year and school psychologists. And I will tell you that they're working hard because there are issues out there, and you know, there's no way to really gloss over it. That I don't think, I certainly know myself, I did not anticipate how deeply many kids would be impacted by this. I mean, quite frankly, I think most educators thought by October, November of this school year, we would be back to normal. That if there was a learning loss or there was some uncomfortableness being in school, that by, you know, late October, middle of November, those problems would, you know, miraculously disappear and the kids would be reacclimated to a 5-day-a-week schedule. That's not the case for lots of our kids. They are suffering, and we are uncovering and unpacking almost on a daily basis kids who are experiencing trauma at home, and we are, you know, addressing those issues on a person-by-person, you know, kid-by-kid case. I will tell you that the social workers and guidance counselors and school psychologists are really working, you know, really from one end of the day to the next to work with their kids, because so many of them are having difficulties, you know, readjusting to this pandemic. I don't think we've realized yet as adults how these masks, vaccines, the constant barrage by news media about, you know, how, you know, the deaths are being posted, you know, constantly, and how many of our families have actually experienced COVID firsthand. You know, we've recognized too that we weren't able to grieve. You know, many of the kids lost families. They lost, you know, parents, grandparents, and they weren't able to properly grieve because they couldn't visit their grandparents or their mother or the father in the hospital. We had quite a few last year that happened to. We are aware of those students and trying to give them whatever assistance we can. In terms of programs that we have, I mean, we do have the, you know, what did we open up right? We only, what did we start here, Wanda? Well, the restorative justice, yeah, we're bringing, I meant the, no, the community plaza, we're playing like, that's it, the community center. Thank you, I couldn't remember. We started the community center. That's really reaching out to newly arrived students and parents. We do have the community plaza. We have quite a few nights during the school year. I know most of our elementary schools have already had one or possibly two parent evenings where they very cleverly, I think, really wonderful way to do this. They actually have the kids in for some fun activities, and then they do some parenting classes and workshops on how to deal with COVID, how to help students with homework, how to help through difficult situations. So we're actually having that on a school-by-school basis. So we have lots of other things. The restorative justice, too, to return to that. We did start that at the elementary schools, the freshman center, and the high school. It was interrupted last year. We are bringing it back this year. The circles that you said, which were quite impactful, they're starting them in the schools. I think what that does is it opens up a great line of communication between the students and a faculty member. And again, that's an opportunity for us as adults to uncover, you know, if there's any problems we can help the students with. So the circles we're starting with. I will tell parents who are listening, if you are frustrated, if there's things going on at home, I guarantee you if you make a phone call to a building administrator or a social worker or a guidance counselor, they will follow up and give every possible assistance that we can. It is, as Mr. Feliciano was talking about, it really does, it's going to take all of us to help kids through this. Now, some, you know, made it, you know, they made it through unscathed. And that's wonderful, but there are many that have underlying scars that we just don't realize. It's not just a school problem. I think it's a society problem that we're going to have to, you know, work our way out. And now we're in it again, you know, with this Omicron, variant. Now I think people are frightened again. We have now the mask mandate, which we always had in schools, but now we have them in stores and malls and every other public place. I think that's going to be that's obviously kind of scaring us as a society. We're set back a little bit. So, as I hope I answered a lot of your questions, Paula, we are aware of all of this. Teachers are well aware of it. We've adjusted how we're delivering instruction, quite frankly, in some of our classes. You know, what do we want to do? We want to meet the kids where they are.
But what about discipline also?
Yeah.
Well, that's another thing. We can't go back to the old model.
Right.
Because COVID changed everything.
It did. It's again, to be, transparent and honest with everybody, acting out, the misbehaving in class, to be quite honest with you, we're seeing behaviors in all grades that we have not seen in years past. And again, it's not unique to us. I talked to the superintendents in Suffolk County, and and actually you read articles in all of the educational journals. It's happening everywhere. We have, let's think about it. We have first and second graders who may not have been in a formal classroom, and they're sitting for the first time as a say second grade student, and they really haven't been in a formal class, some of them for a year and a half, and they're behind. You know, we have first and second graders who are on, you know, they're on grade level in terms of reading and mathematics, but we have, you know, quite a few that are not. And sometimes you know, what gets presented is some type of misbehavior because they're frustrated, obviously, because they're a little bit behind. And so we're seeing some misbehaviors at the elementary level that we have not experienced in my entire career here. And that's happening, you know, quite frankly, in, you know, all of the grades. And
it's happening all over the country.
It is happening.
I bring it up because, you know, these 18,000 students, and I don't usually speak for the board, but I can say they are all those 18,000 students belong to us.
Right, right.
Okay, plus our own. And that's why I feel I'm very upset about and concerned about those children that are falling through the cracks, because how will they ever catch up? That's my concern is, especially if they don't have that support at home.
Right.
That's why my question was, how do we help the family? Because I know, from what I understand, talking to some educators, even the outside agencies are overwhelmed.
They are. They are very overwhelmed, and Ms. Young is, you know, dying to jump in here.
Feel free to come to the
Step in,
mic. I mean,
yeah.
it's something that the community might want to hear.
I just wanted to say, we usually deal with kids after the new referral process and the students get classified. This year, we've been rolling out at-risk services, so we actually have, you know, assigned speech teachers to deal with kids that are behind and that have speech delays prior to the referral process to provide interventions and give them more time. Behavioral specialists are pushing into gen ed classrooms, working individually with kids that we suspect may have, you know, behavioral issues. We're trying to get those issues under control. You know, we're meeting with principals and trying to work together to try to keep the referrals down and remediate the situations with kids. Mr. Lochner and Wayna Bennis and other principals, we met, and Wanda, the cabinet, we met and we discussed suspensions and alternatives and how to level and give kids chances. And I think that everyone was receptive to initiating different, you know, ways of dealing with discipline, you know, and holding students accountable at the same time. We're also looking at starting a parent advisory board for the special ed department, in which we're going to get feedback from parents, you know, involved parents, stakeholders, on ways that we can help them service kids in need. And I think that's our first step in actually bringing community input into some of the decisions that we make at special services. The other thing that we're working on is a parent information, kind of like guidance library. And we started off with a contest. We haven't gotten many entries, so what we decided to do over the break is to work on it ourselves, to do some research as a department and come up with some videos on different topics like anxiety, how to help your child with anxiety, or helping a student with, you know, your child with ADHD, ways that you can help your students at home. So we're working on creating that parent information library, and I think it's going to be a tremendous help. Thank you.
Ms. Young, can you just stay up there for a minute? So if I were a parent and I needed specific help, what number could I call if I had whatever issue I was dealing with, parent issue, maybe a child issue?
Well, it depends on the issue, but if it's an issue as far as a learning loss issue, then you probably would start with the guidance counselor in the building or the building administrator. They would direct you based on what they're seeing and what you're telling them that you're experiencing at home. Imagine that they would direct you to the social worker or a psychologist if it's a behavioral issue. You know, if it's an academic issue, then each building have a RTI committee. to offer support to the student if they're seeing it, or they would put you with a professional in that building that can, suggest things. If it's something with a disability or disability related, then they would contact, obviously, my office, and then we'll get involved and we'll see, how we can help support that parent. And we do have a list of community referrals that we can offer as well.
Again, so this kind of comes back to the same theme that we were talking about in terms of safety. It's a partnership. It's a partnership between school district, the parents, the children. And, if there is a concern, just to your point, Ms. Moore, we need for these parents to come forward. We need for, and if it's a student, that, can advocate for him, herself, come forward. And I would suggest that, based on what Ms. Young said, go to the building principal, go to that person in the building who's an administrator, who's in a position of authority. Those services are here. I just can't imagine that there's anything that we say no to. There's always going to be an avenue to explore. There's always going to be, a redirection until, we exhaust all of those resources. Am I correct, Ms. Young?
Absolutely, and you have a fabulous superintendent that's going to make sure it happens.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Young.
Are we opening up like the field trips? I think that what we're missing is, the kids miss having fun in school.
Right. Actually, yeah, no, we have quite a few field trips. Yeah, actually, it was, I think, 4 on the agenda. But we've already had quite a few that, as a matter of fact, we sent
I guess
a
we
group.
need more, because I know the middle schools haven't had any field trips since
You know
COVID.
what? Well, we'll talk to the middle schools to see if they have anything planned. Because I agree that whatever we can do to make it feel like a usual year, then we
Exactly.
should do. And field trips are a vital part of what we do here in Brentwood. We send kids, prior to COVID, we sent kids everywhere. And I thought it was great
Yeah, even
that
the
they
elementary
experienced.
schools, they haven't had any
Right.
trips that I've seen.
I will, we'll talk to the elementary. We've had a number of, yeah, Gloria, what do we have?
Yeah, it's right here.
We have it every fall.
All
Yeah.
middle schools.
Yeah,
But,
we do
my
have a
whole
number.
point is, I have children in school.
Right.
Some of these kids, the friends that they had prior to COVID are not the same friends that they had. We need to start building relationships, with, a child to a child,
Right. Right.
even an adult to a child. Kindness goes a long way.
Absolutely. No, I agree. I absolutely agree with that. And we're trying to do everything we can, to make it as normal as possible. The field trips is one thing. We are also having a lot of night events.
Yeah.
I love that the elementary schools and middle schools and the high school, they're running quite a few things that are normal. They've done math nights, they've done reading nights, they've done craft nights. I think I missed a few craft nights this week at a few of the schools. I also want to say that our concerts are back. Our concerts actually started, our holiday concerts and Christmas concerts, they actually started this week and last week. One of the benefits of having the concerts now is that we actually have them in the school. I've gone to a whole bunch at the elementary schools. They were fabulous. They not only have kids who are watching it in the gymnasium, but they're also being televised into the classrooms. So if you can't get everybody in the gym, you'll actually, via the Aquas boards, they're watching it in real time in their classrooms. So that's a really a great thing that we started again. Wanda, you wanted to say something?
You please, feel free.
So I just wanted to say that we just completed the amendments for the title grants and we added funding for field trips. So we are going to be able to give money to the elementary schools and the middle school and the high school for field trips and assemblies too. We already have some things planned and they will be brought up to the Board of Education to approve next month. Yeah. So we're getting
And
that.
also, we did
Thank
just
you for
finish
that.
with the Saturday Academy, that was for 4th and 5th grader. It was just wonderful, and it was educational, but to your point, Maria, it really was a community building event. The kids really enjoyed it, and they had an opportunity on a Saturday morning all the way up to early afternoon to not just explore math, science, reading. They played together. We had phys ed, outdoor activities. It was wonderful to see. Ann, you want to add anything to that?
Please, come up.
And throw in some other things we're doing on the elementary level.
Sure, it was a Super Saturday Academy because we supersized it by adding phys ed, as Mr. Lochner said, by adding STEAM, we partnered with EOC, so they came in and they did arts and crafts, and even lunch with friends. You know, we built in a 30-minute lunch period, and it was just fabulous. We gave the children a survey, and you know, maybe at a future board meeting I'll share what kids said, and they basically said they missed their friends and they enjoyed, you know, this socialization. And as Mr. Lochner said, you know, many of the kids, especially kids in kindergarten, first, second grade, they did not have that parallel play for a few years, right? Just playing with another child, you know, learning how to take turns. So really was amazing, and we are actually adding some more extended school day programs. You're going to see some in January at the elementary schools and the math, and the middle schools. They're going to be before and after school programs that are going to be offered by our teachers during the, you know, after school and before school. If you're a late school like Twin Pines, you might have some morning, you know, drop off, so children will get an extra hour in the morning. There'll be yoga, there'll be mindfulness, there'll be math, there'll be sprints with mathematics, they'll have some book clubs in the morning and afternoon. So we have a lot planned for, let's say, January through June to give our children some normalcy.
Thank you, Ms. Palmer.
What about the teachers? What are we doing for the teachers? As far as, because some of them are really, they're going through, as adults, we've all gone through it. What about our teachers?
No, did you want to comment on something, Ann?
Well, I just want to say that, you know, we had a full day at the elementary level. We had a full day on November 2nd for professional learning. And then we had our parent-teacher conferences on December 8th. So, and then we had extended evening hours for parents as well. And we had about, I think, over 90% attendance on December 8th. Wayna Bennis got several, actually, I think we had over 50 students from the high school who helped translate, and they earned participation in government hours. So we had the National Honor Society, we had ROTC kids, and we just had students who are enrolled in participation in government. So, I mean, we're doing a lot for that. I mean, I know that the building level leaders are engaging teachers every month in reimagining the classroom experience. We purchased that RICE course. Teachers are, you know, there's a felt need. Teachers get to choose the courses, and they're in cohorts, and we are creating professional learning communities at the school level so teachers can talk about positioning students for success or looking at retention. How do you, you know, teach to get kids to retain knowledge? You know, what is the, you know, how do we differentiate now? Differentiation is challenging, right? You have so many kids at different places, so that's a struggle. So we are, you know, hosting workshops for teachers so that they can learn how to do it. We have a, March 23rd, we have a superintendent's conference day, another one if it doesn't rain, if we don't use our snow day. So after Christmas, we'll come together, the conference day committee, and we'll look at the kinds of professional learning that we can provide for teachers on that full day as well. Thank you.
We have the 18 here.
Well, you know, I have to say, I mean,
Yeah.
you know, Miss Young complimented me, but in all honesty, I have the benefit of having, I think, flat out the best cabinet that the Brentwood School District has ever had. So I'm just lucky to be here.
Yes.
And that's how it's really, they're amazing. As you can see, they do so much more than any other administrators I've ever worked with. And they never, ever stop thinking about how to improve the circumstances for kids. And a lot of times they're running programs I'm not even aware of because they're running so many darn things. I can't even keep track. And they work tirelessly from one end of the day to the next. It's really quite amazing.
So I did have, Ms. Lotion, the pleasure of attending a few of the concerts that you mentioned. And it was great. It was great seeing the kids out there and just to the community that maybe hasn't had a chance to go out. Even during those concerts, what I noticed was that, you know, the building principals are taking measures to try to keep the community safe. You know, you have social distancing between the different chairs that are set up for the community. Some of the schools even had different components of the concerts isolated on different days so that so that they have less kids performing and less parents in the auditoriums. So even as we are moving forward with all these things, there's still a consciousness out there that we are, you know, trying to live through this pandemic. So, I mean, kudos to everybody that's participating and put these things together. Each and every performance, I thought was fabulous. I thought it was great. I did take you up on some of your recommendations, and yes, I agree.
Oh, you did? Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. You know, Ms. Lucia sends us, you know, updates. This is something you can't miss. All right, so listen, I'm gonna just go ahead and see that one. And it's really great. You know, some of the board members and myself got a chance to also this week to view the investment that we made in technology in person, and it was great. We got a chance to go to Southwest Elementary and then East Middle School, and it's there. You know, all the pieces that we put in place are there, and you know, and to no fault of anyone, you know, we're not at 100%. But that's okay because, you know, we know that we are in this learning curve and it's going to take some time to be completely proficient in terms of what this technology can offer us. And we have to have patience. Again, it's this partnership between the district, parents, and students. And the one thing that I just wanted to just mention again, you know, you talk about events. We had a wonderful event that was hosted by Miss Young and her staff and her team. It was tree lighting. I don't think I've ever seen that many people at the tree lighting event. So there's a hunger to come back together, and it was very, very apparent at that event. So thank you to everyone who's involved trying to bring us back to some kind of sense of normalcy.
Yeah, the tree lighting was fabulous. It really has gotten better year after year. I can't even imagine what next year will bring us. But, you know, obviously, Miss Young and Miss Sinius really are the ones that run it. They do a tremendous job doing it. But we also have staff members from across the district who volunteer, elementary schools, middle, freshman center, high school, different clubs. You know, we even had a petting zoo by a teacher who actually has a farm, brought in some animals. Really, it's just, you know, remarkable. But to your point, it's really the community is, you know, hungry to come out. And I do want to say, you know, to Maria's point and Paula's point that, you know, if you do have a son or daughter and you are concerned, I'd say the first thing to do is get them out and involved. You know, we've been saying that as educators for forever. You know, stay for after-school activities, join a team, join a club. I think it's more important now than ever, that your kids are not home on technology, you know, are not on their cell phones, they're not on a laptop, or they're not on an iPad all afternoon after coming home. Get them out on a sport. Ms. Palmer mentioned so many things that are happening after school or before school. If you're a parent and you hear that there's some type of extra help after school or before school or any event, have your kid attend those events. And I think the more we get them out and moving and socializing with one another, the best we will have, not just as a Brentwood community, but as a society. My fear is we stayed indoors for a year and a half, and I don't want kids to continue to stay indoors and on cell phones. I think cell phones and technology has been remarkable, but it also can be a problem if it's not monitored and tempered, you know, and that's my advice to everybody. take advantage of everything. We have the swimming now, do family swim nights on Thursdays. Saturdays, get your kids into the swimming that we have going on here. Really get them out and involved in all of the events, not just here in Brentwood, but anywhere. That would be my advice to people.
Do you have any,
Oh. Fresh off the press. Okay, thanks. So I think we already talked about the tree lighting event, which was terrific. Special Services hosted several trainings for speech teachers to assist with communication weaknesses, as well as workshops for general ed and special ed teachers. As you can tell by the cabinet members, I mean, we're really committed to doing quite a bit of professional development. We had a great turnout at the parent-teacher conferences on the elementary level. As Ms. Palmer said, over 90% of the students in the elementary schools, parents actually came to the parent-teacher conferences, which is remarkable, and I would ask parents to continue their active approach to their kids' education. So we have at least 60 art and essay submissions for the 2022 Dr. Martin Luther King Fine Arts and Essay Exhibition, sponsored by the New York State Ed Department. And all students' work will be exhibited by New York State virtually and on our website in January. The month of November and December, I think we mentioned it a number of times. We've had winter concerts really in every single school. Some of them are still going on. Actually, over at the high school, they're going on even as we speak. And next week, there'll be several more. And they're really, as Mr. Feliciano said, they're just terrific. I think our music teachers are flat out amazing, and our kids are so talented. It's really a joy to see. Twin Pines held a family craft fair last night. That was fantastic. Families were able to make Christmas decorations, wreaths, snowmen, Christmas trees, gingerbread houses that they will cherish forever. North Middle School held a successful STEAM fair. Over 400 students participated in engaging science, math, technology, and art projects and activities. It really was a terrific event. South Middle School held their Student of the Month assembly yesterday. I had the opportunity to be over there with Ms. Ortiz, and we saw Senator Phil Boyle, and the legislator Gonzalez was there to congratulate the kids. West Middle School had a successful technology night to show parents how to enroll in Parent Square and access the portal, enroll in Rosetta Stone, and learn about our digital software. Was that? Okay. Did I have a second page? No? Okay. I thought I had source. This is how good I am. I get to get prompted here. But as I said, there's just too many things going on at all times. We consolidated. Okay.
That's it.
That's it.
We're good. We're good. We are, do we have anything on public comment? No.
I do.
Sure.
Okay. Months ago, I don't recall exactly what month, but I know I have September here. We did the tax rate for the school budget. And I asked for something and everybody threw me under the bus. They put videos out on me and everything. Because I asked for, I think it was, Julie, I don't know if you recall, 0.2.
I don't remember percentage. It was about $65 a year.
It came out to 16 cents a day. Well, like I said, you guys threw me under the bus, big time. Well, saying that you're not charging the community. I have agendas here where, let me see, one September agenda, it said 0.88. You want to explain that one, Julie? Do you remember? The tax rate you guys posted on one agenda was 0.88. When I questioned it, or Julie questioned it, or called, all of a sudden, we got another agenda and it was taken off. Okay, and I have them all. So you were going to charge the community, then you took it off, then the community voted for 0. Now I have my tax bill, and my tax went up 0.9%. How is that? Do you know how that, I mean, I don't, maybe I'm wrong, but something's wrong here.
Ms. O'Connor, can you address that?
Okay, because I have everything right here. I
Can you
have my
just bring down the
tax bill.
microphone so you could,
I have the agendas where you said 0. I have the agenda where it says .88. When Julie and I questioned it, I think Julie called up and said something. Next thing we know, it's taken off the agenda. Then you tell the community, you guys threw me under the bus that I want taking money from the community during a pandemic, that we're not charging anybody anything, the taxes aren't going up. I get my tax bill the other day, and it's up over $200.
so,
Maybe
what
somebody, I
I,
could be wrong,
no, what I can say,
somebody can explain, because like I said, it wasn't nice what certain people on this board did to me.
okay, so what I can explain is that what we voted on was a 0% tax increase on the school budget side, which doesn't mean that your taxes aren't going to go up, because there are other things that are on your tax
You
bill.
guys told the public that they're not getting an increase.
But on the school,
I think she's referring to the school budget, though.
I'm starting,
I mean,
But
the
that-
school portion of the
school
bill.
portion,
I didn't get that.
0.9%.
There's a difference between the tax rate and the tax
Tax
levy.
levy.
What we told the community was the tax levy was not going to go up at all, and it didn't.
can you bring the
levy-
microphone down so that it can
Can
be
you
heard?
tell me why those dates? Can you
Just
explain
your
this?
microphone?
Sure.
One agenda in September says .88, okay? Then when Julie questioned it and called up, the next, another revised one comes out, and now it's 0. Okay? What is this on a tax bill? I have one that's 2.99, the last time we paid, and now, or 2.8. Why does this say .9?
Oh, you
And
know
we
what?
could certainly sit down and look at that, look at last year's tax
Yeah,
bill
I
and this
would
year's
just-
tax
listen,
bill. I've done that with
I'm the
several.
one who wanted it to go up. I didn't mind paying 16 cents a day. Okay? Whatever you guys all threw me under, calling me a thief to the community, how can I do this? I'm thinking I'm getting a tax bill with nothing on it, and then now, it's raised. Like I said, I don't mind paying more.
No, Cindy,
So-
I think you raise a good point. If you.
I'm sorry.
You know what, because you
You
know,
misled the community
Hang
and
on.
threw me under the bus very badly.
oh, hang on.
And
I
I'm
think it-
letting the
can't
people
explain
know.
that.
I know, I think if we let Stacy explain it, you're going to understand. I think it could be a good educational exercise for everyone here, because we actually, this comes up all the time, the difference between the tax rate and the tax levy. And I know Stacy's gonna,
Rich, the point is you told the community the taxes are not going up. And then they put videos out on me.
okay, that, I don't know
All
anything
right.
about that, but I would just say.
And I
that-
know who did it.
I know, but
I
Cindy.
have messages from community members that certain people here messaged, talking about me.
Well, can we let Stacy explain, please?
Yeah, I think
'Cause
you're
wanna hear
gonna
it.
see that there is an explanation behind this.
Yeah, before we get a little bit off track. But there is a difference, like I started to say, between the tax rate and the tax levy. And what we had told the community is that the tax levy is 111 million, and some, a little bit more, a little over that. And that stayed the exact same between the previous school year and the current school
didn't,
year.
Priscilla.
There are other factors that go into the tax rate once you establish the tax levy. And that could be the assessed values can change throughout the district, and there's a shift sometimes between homestead and non-homestead. So when that shifts, which it did this year, it made the tax rate or the taxes on each household change a little bit, and it did go up a little bit. So although we had a 0% tax levy, what I wrote in the memo to the board, the backup to that agenda, was that the taxes on an average assessed household of 35,000 would go up 0.88%. But that is not because the levy changed. That's because the assessments changed. And that information we don't get until August, and what we told the community back in May when we voted on the budget, that the levy would stay the same, and that's exactly what it did.
All right, well, you get a
So that's
chance,
the
can you
change.
show
I would
me
be
where-
glad to sit down
Show
with
me
you.
where you put it,
Yes.
whatever, where you said it was changed.
Yeah.
Because I had
Yep.
every agenda,
Ms. O'Connor,
Stacy,
can you,
every advice
Robert,
one,
I'm
and
sorry.
then it says.
can you
just-
define what the assessed values? I understand what it is. But to the community that's out there that's listening, says my assessed value went up. I'm going to break it down the way I think that most people could understand it, and that is the assessed value is what the local town thinks your house is worth. Basically, what they do is, you have the tax receiver and the assessor's office work and, make an assessment of what each and every one of our houses are worth. And it's based off of that value that our taxes are computed. So is that a fair assessment in terms of what the assessed value means?
Yes, for each individual household, but if we look at the district as a whole, there's a total assessment for the district.
Yep.
If you add up all the houses individually. And then the town of Islip takes that and they divide it between homestead, which are the homes, the residents, and non-homestead, which are the businesses. So when it's about 72% that goes to the homes and the remaining that goes to the businesses. When that shifts even slightly, even though the overall tax for the district doesn't change, that'll change how businesses and homes get taxed. So that could make a change even though the school district didn't make a change.
So you actually might have a year where taxes for businesses, commercial properties actually go down as the property taxes in residential houses in our own single-family homes may go up. So Stacy, does the district have any control over what the assessed value is? The answer is no. That comes from.
Yeah.
Just hang on, Ms. Arif. So that comes from the assessor's office. The town of Islip is the one that makes it independent of the school district. Mr. O'Connor, did we mislead the public?
We did not mislead the public. The only number I ever give is the total tax levy. That's what we talk about when we talk about the
Okay,
budget.
can I just chime in for a minute?
Can we put a
Because I
disclaimer?
excuse me, Paula. I'm sorry, I just wanted, because Cindy did mention me, and I do remember questioning, the .88 was on a draft agenda that we received that never made it to the public because I did question it and it was explained. However, I do think that we might have fallen short in explaining it more fully at the time. And I do remember thinking that even as we voted, thinking that I had the privilege and the benefit of getting that explanation, however, the public did not. And I think, Cindy brings up a valid point. And I think, there might be other people in the community, I haven't gotten my tax bill yet, but that will get their bills and also question it. So I don't think we can say it enough, because it is somewhat confusing.
Yeah, that's why I agree. I think it is something worthy.
This
That's why,
community was told they were not getting a tax increase. That's
Well-
all I'm saying.
Can we put a disclaimer when we put the budget brochure out, put a
well,
disclaimer so that?
Right. No, I agree. I think that, maybe we'll again, when we go through the budget process again, we do try to explain exactly what we're explaining now. Maybe we don't do as good a job as we could. But I think what Stacy is saying,
I
okay,
understand what
is,
Stacy said. It wasn't Stacy who said it.
well, in other words, we need to raise, we put out that we were gonna raise $111 million. I'm gonna round it down. $111 million. Now, if we were going to propose thank you, man. Yeah, so in other words, Cindy, we had 111 million last year in raised taxes, okay? What we went out to the community, and we told the community that we're only going to raise $111 million from the community this year. That's a 0%, okay?
Right.
No, so that, we're not trying to be deceptive at all. So what we say, let's say next year, we have to go up 1%. We'd actually say that we now have to go up, instead of 111 million, it would be like 112.2. That's what we need to raise from the community, okay? And that would be the 1% raise. So that's what, we weren't deceptive. We only are receiving $111 million from the community. Unfortunately, I think what Stacy's saying is that it gets apportioned differently between homestead and non-homestead.
I understand that, but it was said to the community they're not getting a tax increase.
Okay,
But she is referring to the district.
district did not give the tax increase.
I understand, but on your tax bill, it says school district.
right.
I understand
No,
what you're saying.
you're right. You're right, Cindy. And
But
that's-
don't throw me under a bus when I asked for a tax increase. So now just forget it, all right?
So,
Everybody understands, then that's fine. I
So-
know what
so-
I understand and what people did to me.
No, I
All right.
understand.
So we did not increase the taxes. It was the exact same amount that we had charged the community the year before, as Mr. Lotion explains. I just, I am, so let me just say, so if there should be absolutely no doubt on any board member's mind as to how this process works. That is something that we are responsible for, each and every one of us. We need to understand how this process works.
I just found
Ms. Safiri, I gotta tell you, I'm a little concerned.
Robert, to be fair,
I'm a little concerned that you don't understand how this process works, because you're voting on increasing taxes for this community, and you have to know how this works, what the homestead is versus non-homestead is, what the tax rate and tax levy are.
Okay, Robert, can I interrupt you
If there
for a
are any
minute?
questions about that, please feel free, sit down, make an appointment with Superintendent
I
O'Connor,
understand.
and you have to understand what this process is like, because it's critical. Yes, I advocated for a 0% tax increase last year. This is what we went with. You were opposed to that. You did want to raise the property taxes, and ultimately, the majority landed.
16 cents a day, now we're paying 28 cents a day.
Ultimately, the majority of the board landed with a 0% tax increase. And that's okay, that's where we're in, but you have to understand the process. That is probably the most critical piece of this conversation. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Ms.
I'm
Burgos.
sorry. What I wanted to say is, I just want to say again that I think we do need to have more clarity about how we explain it to us and to the community. Because I even had to question it when we got the draft agenda. It just seemed also, I wouldn't use the word deceptive, but that it was not as we had proposed. So
And then
it
all of a
was
sudden,
worth
on the next
questioning.
agenda, it's gone.
So,
Nobody
so,
says
Well,
nothing.
but,
I don't
Ms.
have the email.
Ms.
to pull
O'Connor,
up, but
I mean,
it did
I
say
think,
that
I think,
it would be
I
adjusted.
think you explained
Excuse
that.
me?
Can you reiterate what it was that you were said about that 0.88? The fact is, did the levy go up at all? Was it a 0%?
The levy is exactly the same this year as it was the previous year. Again, there are other factors that go into establishing a tax rate. We established the tax levy for the district with information from the town that we don't have at the time when we set the budget. We don't get that till later in the summer, late August. Then we can establish the tax rate.
Yeah.
And there is a difference, and assessments can change, adjusted base proportions, the homestead, the non-homestead. There are many different things that can change on individual tax bills that can affect how your tax, how
Yeah.
much you pay in
So
taxes.
I want to,
I
you know,
understand that, but you understand, when you see an agenda with .88, and then all of a sudden, somebody makes a phone call and questions it, and all of a sudden, it disappears. Nobody
but
says nothing.
but that's why these,
That's
some of
why
these,
I'm
that's why
saying,
these
no,
agendas
please.
are drafts. That was an error. That was just an error when it was picked up.
Somebody didn't say something.
And when it
probably
was
would've
a
still been
draft,
done.
that was a draft agenda, that was actually human error.
I don't know
That's-
that it was an error. It
Thank
was
you.
not an error. It just, a .88, if you figure it out, and I don't have the numbers to do it now, you probably will come up with a number close to what Cindy's saying. So I think maybe the error was that, putting it down as a levy and not a rate, and then maybe not, again, just not explaining it to everyone.
So I just want to say that in Ms. O'Connor's defense,
I'm not
we've
attacking Ms.
sat through so many of these budget hearings. There isn't any doubt in my mind that we do a thorough job explaining this year after year after year. I've sat through many of these budget presentations. Ms. O'Connor always makes the disclaimer, hey, there's a difference between levy, rate. Just because we're going with this amount doesn't mean that it's only going to go up by 0 or 1%. I hear you, and I commend you for all of your efforts. We are going to start this budget process soon. I think we start in January, February. It's the budget process is here upon us. If there are any community members at all who have any questions in terms of how this process works, how it is that we come down to the conclusions that we come down, please, these meetings are open to the public. As a matter of fact, maybe what we will be doing is streaming them live this year. So I think that might actually help with getting the message out. but it's not because the message is not being sent out. I think that in the past, we haven't had, enough participation, but in terms of a thorough explanation, we get that year after year.
I'd like to make a suggestion, because if you look around you, how many community members really are here tonight? And, we can't really tell how many people are watching from home. But I think it merits some communication to the home in writing, explaining exactly what the process is. And I am in no way criticizing you, Stacy, at all. I think we're all responsible for making sure that the message gets out correctly. But I think moving forward, and I think this is along the lines that Paula was referring to, putting something in writing to the community, explaining exactly what it is. So when we give a percentage for a levy, the actual increase that you see in your taxes may not be representative of that, and then we need to explain why. Because you have a good understanding, Mr. Feliciano, there may be other people in this room with a very good understanding, but not everybody's going to have that same level of experience in working with this, or that same level of understanding. So that's my suggestion as a board member. I think
so too.
self-critiquing, that I think we do need to have more clarity.
Ms. Burgos,
And we can
and I
put
want to
that
say
in the
that
budget brochure and that we send out, just put on there, it's a zero, increase, but
I think a more
And I-
thorough
and I-
explanation also.
because we understand it, but I don't think the general public understands.
And I want to say that when I read the brochure, it's in there. When I read the brochure, I know that information is in there. Miss-
That were put out on me saying that
we're not
getting an increase, and Mrs. Berry's asking for an increase.
So,
I have them, so let's not.
again, my concern is, I think that you're lacking a fundamental understanding of how this
Robert,
increase
please.
on your tax bill showed up. So there is an increase that has absolutely nothing to do with the district, and that is the concern. You have to understand how this process works in order to, I believe, to, vote on this.
But Robert, we do have to be more transparent. I'm sorry. But
No.
the .88, the answer was that, yes, they are going to go up, and this is why. And that's what we didn't say to the
Yeah,
public.
so
That falls on us.
So
All of
that
us.
is, so
Not any one
this
of us,
year,
all
when
of
we go
us.
through the budget process, Ms. O'Connor, if you can, emphasize that. Maybe we have a screen that we're sharing with the community. One of the things that I did want to ask was, I know that we had a meeting where we were sharing stuff on this screen here, but I don't think that the community could see it, as well as we could. Can we, when we're going through this budget process, can we have the live stream show the slides to the community as you're explaining them, so that they see what we're seeing? We usually get paper copies of them.
Didn't we get that? Didn't we do that?
The board got paper copies,
No,
not
but the
necessarily
screening,
the community.
if
No,
you're
on
using
the
Zoom,
screen.
you could share your screen.
I think as the pandemic, has gone on and we've, used technology in different ways, we never streamed board meetings before. I think there's a lot of opportunity for growth on how we could share things better with the community. So
Yep.
absolutely, we could look for better ways to do
Great,
that.
and we will emphasize that piece that we're talking about right now, so that,
Sure.
so that we can educate the community.
Yep.
All right. Anything else?
Thank you, Cindy, for bringing that.
All right, with that being said,
I did want to, we have one of the teachers that was, I'm sorry. You think I would know this by now, right? We do have one of the teachers that was just on the board, and she was here this evening, so I'd like to introduce her, Sierra Dennehy.
Oh,
And let's congratulate.
congratulations.
congratulations. So the only thing I have to end is, I know there was some question as to whether or not the jacket came with pants. It did. But I just, I thought it was going to be a little overwhelming, so let's just do the jacket alone,
the
all right,
jacket
Mr.?
was-
That was, I asked Mr. Loshner about it. I actually called him in the morning. He said, no, Robert, just please, just the jacket alone. I got to check these things out with Rich. With that being said, listen, we're in the holiday season. It's just a wonderful time. It's a moment of reflection. It's a moment of growth. I've said this, many times before, this is the kind of spirit that we should carry with us each and every day. No matter what holiday you're celebrating, we wish you, on behalf of the entire board, the administration, and the district staff, a wonderful, wonderful holiday. Be well and God bless. With that being said, I am going to ask for a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting.
Motion.
Motion by trustee Virgos, could I have a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Holder Daniel, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, so moved. Have a wonderful night.